Hi there. Right off the bat, I'd like to thank those of you who have gosh, this looks like oh my word. Yeah, it's like being in Stalag, whatever. Jesus. Right, I'm gonna have to edit that out. That's a bunch of da 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 da. Um, I just want to thank people who've subscribed more every day, and it's a wonderful that there's a collective here, and I don't quite know how that works, but it is a network. It is we're connected. It's not like we're a volleyball team, but we're something, and I just love the feeling. At least on this end, it feels really nice, and I hope it does for you guys too, as a place where we support each other and energetically. You're all. This is a co-creation, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. This is our forum, and I feel a bit like I'm at the UN, the simultaneous translator. Where it's coming in one ear in one language, and you're giving it out in a different language, so that the guy with the earphone, that's what I try to do. Translate. And the other thing I was thinking about is just in terms of, is this going to happen to me now? They sort of like, why when they say that, things are going to get better financially and I'm going down the shitter. One of the things I was thinking about is that, a reading is sort of like it takes as a kind of a snapshot or a limited clip out of a story that extends in both directions, in all directions, and it gives you this little kind of trailer or snippet, and it helps to, I think, for me and for you guys as well, to remember just to have an awareness of when you tell a story, it has a beginning and an ending. It's sort of like if you write a novel, it eventually wraps up. If you're Tolstoy and it takes 12 volumes, eventually, off the train platform she goes. And a canvas, is in a frame, and this is in a frame. And the benefit of that is that it allows for focus. Rather than just having, any number of what's going on. You're taking this deck of cards and this amount of time to try to check into the story. And I think it is an our story. I really do. I guess that's what I know about the collective and so forth. There's something about these that resonates with some of us. Like I'm getting the image of sort of the bell and the bell tower. And by the way, there's a great poem, and I can't even. Never mind. It's a good one about bell tower. I'll get that eventually. But that idea of the resonance, or that harmonic thing I was talking about the other day, when you're in a tight harmony, there's a part that's being sung by, by the room, by the collective, by the combined voices. Woo, hits this note. And we're doing that. And what's outside the frame of reference? A lot, everything. But the frame gives you a place to start, a focus. And I think that was it. So yeah, so let's just check in, and this is a deck I haven't used for a while. I like it very much. Can't remember the name. It's not a traditional Rider-Waite, and sometimes I like the newer decks because there's so much in the images to work off. I mean, Rider-Waite there is too, but it's been that same standard, and I think it should be kind of what we refer back to. But I like the new decks, and occasionally I'll get a card and I'll think, no, I don't like that. I don't like that one. But mostly I think it gives another dimension. All right, sorry, focus. What's our story? What's in the frame today? Spirit. The gang's all here. The gang's all here. First card out. Oh, interesting. 5 of emotions. 5 of cups. I mean, and this is a good example. 5 of cups, traditional Rider-Waite, has the widow, the cloaked figure always strikes me as a sort of a widower in mourning. Looking at the 3 spilled, 2 up right behind. This is a woman in water, and there's kind of a wave splashing up like this, and she's holding on to this white, what looks to be like lace. But it's like the traditional Rider-Waite in that the figure in that image is somebody who can't see the 2 of cups behind them. They're deep in their grief. And this person is similarly hanging on to the grief. And it's not like, oh, you dumbass, why are you hanging on to the grief? I think grief has its own lifespan, and that you can't, you can maybe try to do things not to feed extra grief on top. Because I've sort of done that. This feels so bad. How much worse can I be? How much worse? I think there's a scene like that in Out of Africa where Karen von Blixen is saying, just when it's the worst it can get, and I can't bear it, I think of one more thing. I put on the next thing. I double down. And I'm not really a fan of that. I've done it. I don't think it's a great, just to say, oh my God, sadness, and you start to plummet, to plumb it, and to also plummet. It's kind of it's a vortex. So, what are we hanging on to? And it may be hope. Who am I to say she's hanging on to the thing she ought to let go of? Maybe she's clinging to hope. She looks like she is. Hope that it won't leave. Hope that it will come back. Tell us more. Okay. Hierophant. Also 5 card. 5 in the major arcana, 5 of emotions, 5 of cups, minor arcana. And this is an interesting depiction. You've got the person on the higher ground, this sort of ascended one, in Rider-Waite. It's a church figure with the big elaborate hat and the 2 devotees in front. In this one, it's the big spiritual fancy hat person. It's a different kind of hat, but there's still like the regalia of the ascended one. And not the 2 little devotees right in front, but there's one tiny black figure here and an even smaller one. I mean, it's just a speck. It's a speck back in the background. And then these little sort of lantern places lighting the path. Traditional Rider-Waite, the hermit as the lantern. Oh, sorry. Yeah, somehow I was off on hermit card. Well, in a way, this Hierophant is almost like, less like that hierarchical hat-wearing situation, and more like she's sitting up on this rock, and the lights all around. And she's naked, and somebody said today in a reading I was listening to, like the naked bodies are the indicate vulnerability. Okay, 5 and 5. There's something. Well, 5 of emotions person, it looks like they're in a position of prayer. You know, I'm holding on, I'm holding out hope. And I think it's for the presence of this, because, you know, hierarchy, it means higher person. You know, the ascended one, it really is that. And maybe this person sort of awash in their emotions is trying to maintain a connection with their higher their higher self. Higher. Okay. What does the higher self have to say? Let's go to the source. Oh, dearie me. Okay. First up, 8 of Swords. It's being stuck in a mindset. It can be that simple. But this is almost like bondage. I mean, in traditional Rider-Waite, again, you've got the blindfolded person in the hemmed in by the swords. And this is the blindfolded person, bound. It just has a slightly more, I don't know if you can see it, you probably can't. Anyway, she's blindfolded. Trust me, it looks a little bit like who's cracking the whip in this scenario. But it's a mental state. So in this one, it's a feeling of sort of emotional, I'm awash in this. And mentally, I feel bound and imprisoned. And Hierophant can mean traditional religion, that has a system of rules and regs, and I wear the hat, you don't, you wear this, and you're way in the background, but I'm up front, I'm higher. Sometimes there are a lot of rules. Almost always it's like, we spread the cornmeal to the 4 directions, or we blow the Tibetans have the trumpets, the long. So this might be like feeling trapped by your beliefs, your mindset about something. And it might be something like you feel like you're losing your connection to your higher self because your thoughts are getting in the way. Your mindset. Well, that's excellent. Yes, sirree, Bob, we like to see wheel, because that's another major arcana along with Hierophant. This is the forward movement. Being ready to move into the better place. Change things up, that's for sure. So, and that suggests too, you really don't belong here in this constricted place. Our relationship with that higher power isn't about really who wears the hat. And there's a new belief, because Hierophant is also like the teacher. It's Taurus energy, so it's grounded energy that's about something more than daily life. It's sort of the sacramental. Like, the difference between, this is a stupid example, but between eating the host when you take communion and having a saltine, because you feel a little peckish. Same cracker, different intention makes it a completely different thing. So we're upping the it's like we're moving into the next stage in this higher power business. And bottom of the deck was Knight of Swords. Knights are messengers. They're action takers. This is a fast spoken message, or, message to do with words, as opposed to like just somebody showing up and flapping their arms. I guess this is like the letter, the text, the not necessarily the face-to-face thing. In sword energy, same energy as this card of inhibition, being trapped. Well, trapped. You know, somebody's gotten out of the trap. Gotten out of the trap. Wheel is turned. And there's something like, you know, we all try to sort of avoid what makes us grieve and don't go into the grieving place sort of like, you know, I think I'll do that for my spiritual enlightenment. You know, that's a good way to do it. But it is a way to do it. I mean, you know, if you can grieve all the way through the, you know, not skip the steps, really take the time to do it. This can be the result, a kind of powering up. They're both 5 cards. So the grief and the grief can almost lead to the higher self. The higher self comes in and comforts the self. You know, the self responds by leaning toward the high, you know, and there becomes a more of a melding. Like the higher self comes into, you know, comes into our the daily life to comfort us, and you know, when we're in our 5 of Cups place, which is, you know, great emotion, that takes us to the brink of something, but that's also kind of a good thing, that it activates the higher power. Blah, 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 shut up. So tell us about the Knight of Voices, Knight of Swords, please. Somebody's escaping. Okay, we have 3 of Wands. That's a kind of, usually indicates a card of waiting. This is sort of like a domino effect. You know, her next step kicks forward these dominoes. It's like these are in the upright. And then she's walking along it and she's clearly kicked the dominoes because all the ones in front of her are going brrrr, you know. So she set something in motion. And 3 of Wands is like that. It's about what's going to happen. Now that I've set the domino effect. Okay, 8 of Pentacles under 8 of Swords. You know, couldn't really get more opposite energies. This is a card of stability, of work in the 3D, you know, increasing abundance in what matters and what is real to us and what we care about, you know, that's within our reach. And this is, you know, being inhibited in a cold mindset that traps us, that makes us be in solitude. This is an abundance. But, you know, Wheel of Fortune steps in, and the next thing you know, you've got a whole different 8 happening here. Grounded. A solid, stable, real. And 3 of, here it's inspiration, wands, is this kicking over of the dominoes, in a sort of inspired, let's get going. What'll happen in the future? And that's underneath Hierophant. I mean, something is set in motion to do with the growth, I think, of one's higher self. Okay. And it might be like taking an action. Remember I said knights are action takers? Taking an action to say something that like kicks the, you're kickstarting it, the dominoes will go as a result of something you've said, or somebody said something to you that's like inspired. 3 of inspiration, here I go, boom. And it doesn't, it doesn't happen just like because the wind blows, these dominoes spill forward. It's something you do in reality. It's your work. Ace of Pentacles. Under wheel. Well, it's a new beginning. It's the seed of something. It's potential. It's sort of like, they talk about kinetic energy, which involves like kicking the dominoes, and potential energy, like something in a battery, or where you wind up a spring and it's got potential energy to go boing. This is potential energy. The opportunity. And I think for this new 8 of Pentacles, you're working on bringing this new opportunity in, perhaps? Because 3 of Wands, 3 of inspiration is also about, I've done this, now what, now what's going to happen? What is the future going to hold? And it doesn't look bad. Okay. Does not look bad. We have Temperance, a card of peace, a card of balance, divine timing, 2 things being mixed together, because this sort of angelic presence, it's sort of like the Trinity almost. This, only in the sense of it's the 3 and 1 and the 1 and 3. There's the one who kind of mixes the cocktail. A kind of an alchemist almost. But the card of, I'm getting like transmuting. That's on Ace of Pentacles, Ace of Materials. Well, now is the time for this opportunity to come through. And we'll get more on what that's about. But it's something that really advances the cause. Like the cosmic cause, which, there is a kind of domino effect in that regard. So, Ace of Pentacles, Temperance. What have we got on Eight of Materials? And if it's a bunch of cards, I'm just going to clarify going that way. Eight of Materials, Eight of Coins, Eight of Pentacles. It was called a different... Okay. Muse of Inspiration. That's like King of Inspiration, the equivalent. Highest expression of wand energy. Action taker. Somebody who would definitely kick the dominoes. And it's in that same energy, wand energy. So, and they're called inspiration rather than wands. I mean, and that's the energy of wands. I'm inspired, I get a vision, I go for it. It's the opposite of expired, I'm dead. Expiration date, done. This is like the other part of that. Inspired, not expired. So somebody's stepping into their power to do the work, to bring something into the place where we can live and breathe and have our being. Okay. On Three of Wands, a Seven of Voices of Swords. It can be a card of duplicity. And right here we have, the woman, the image of the woman this way, and then the reflection. And on either side of this upright lady are two kind of, nice healthy foxes. But, sorry, I'm just trying to put this down. Their reflection is black and white, and in the reflection, they're going, they've got their mouths wide open. Upright, they just look like a Disney, not Disney, but they're kind of storybook fox. These are kind of storybook, scary wolf, more a wolf than a fox. And there's a bridge between these two images, and down here is a figure of a woman in a fox mask. So it's the whole idea of shadow work, kind of. Not wearing the mask, not what we appear to be, trickster energy. But since it's portrayed this way, not of the, in traditional Rider-Waite, it's the guy making off with the swords, he's a sneak, he's a thief. I'd say this is more the other aspect of Seven of Swords, of like fooling yourself, lying to yourself. Trying to sort of consign to the dark corner maybe your own duplicity. I have no idea how that fits with Three of Inspiration, the forward movement that's inspired. Again, a kind of a crap sword energy. 7 of voices of swords, 8 of swords. You're deceiving yourself somehow. Somebody's deceiving themselves. And it might be just like kicking the, deciding to kick these dominoes forward is to change, because it's a 3 of Wands is a card of the future. And across the bridge, there's this little kind of golden door where the sun is beaming, almost like the sun in the back of the upright person, the daylight person, not the shadow side person. And the shadow side person is somebody that maybe other people don't know about, and neither do you. It's that part of ourselves that we sort of suppress and push down. And maybe this forward movement of the 3 of Wands is what will get us across this bridge. Because there's light there. This light up here is not phony. And neither is the dark. It's a flip side of something. But somehow, I think I tend to advocate that, I don't like working with shadow. Nobody does. There's a reason it's been disowned. Something that makes us uncomfortable. But doing it actually clears the way across the Great Divide and into sort of the heart of this person who is conscious. And I just remember there was once it was a little movie theater in the town that I was living in. Back in the day when it was a little town, it's now very gentrified and all. But there was a movie theater that ran just really, really interesting films you wouldn't see anywhere else. And there was a long film about Carl Jung giving, I think it was a lecture or something. I don't remember the lecture as much as I do. They had a question and answer thing afterward. And I asked, because of this shadow work thing, I said, my layman's understanding of this is that the things that, we're inclined to want to not look at as being part of us, we push away, and that the work is just to get it back into consciousness, where you can look at it and change it and live life in a different way based on the degree to which you've processed this dark stuff, which can be like the rich soil, when you flip the soil in your garden, the stuff that's been down underneath in the dark is actually kind of purified in a way. It's not full of weed seeds, and anyway, enough with the gardening analogy, but shadow work is about bringing things into the light. And the guy said, they trucked in an expert on Jung, to answer our questions. And he said, yeah, that's exactly what it is. You bring it up as fast as you can, looking at it, not just like, get this out of here. The hard part is you really need to look at it. Like, where did these beliefs come from? In what way am I moved by things I don't understand or even know that I'm being moved by? Let's look at them. Seven of Voices. So on Knight of Voices, Knight of Swords, we have Tower, Manischewitz. So this message coming in, the other day I did a reading like no more status quo. That's kind of what Tower always, you know, it has different inflections. Like, is it an epiphany? Is it a breaking out of a toxic situation, or both? But it's certainly you know, its effect is far-reaching, dramatic, and calls for kind of a reset, which might have something to do with kicking over the dominoes. You know, and when you bring stuff to light, you do shadow work, you actually, you're exposing stuff to the light. And Tower does that too. And you can even see there are the lightning bolts coming down. And this person is kind of being electrified. It's a little bit like Bride of Frankenstein. You know, even her hair is a little bit like Bride of Frankenstein, who was cobbled together and then had, you know, Frankenstein was zapped and came to life by the sort of elemental life force energy. And it's kind of unleashed if, you know, the fast message, or the message unleashed the fast-moving Tower, or both. Because Tower is sudden. Knight of Swords, Knight of Voices is sudden. And I'm getting, it's almost like we were talking about a bell somewhere earlier, and I can't even remember the reference. Something to do with the reverberations. Well, this is like the reverberations, you know, brought the whole thing down. The walls came tumbling down, you know, boop, Joshua blew the horn, and the walls came tumbling down. There's something sort of like that. Because something came to light. You know, and in that thing coming to light, there was an epiphany, that sense of Tower. There was a quickening. There was a, you know, renewed life. Back from the dead. Okay, I'm going to do a shuffle and then just clarify from Five of Cups back to Wheel. Tempted to apologize for going long, but I'm not gonna. Right, the awakening, judgment. I mean, I love this depiction of judgment. Again with the beam of light. in Tower, it's like the lightning strike. And I think that, you know, something, remember I said something about like the grief, the sadness elevates. And in this case, it causes the awakening, causes the second life. You know, here it's sort of a Frankenstein, Lady Frankenstein, Ms. Frankenstein. And it is through your feeling and willingness to feel your way all the way through, which is going to involve a lot of that. Grief like kicks the dominoes, but I was thinking also kicks like the silt in the bottom of the pond. You know, it stirs things up. It's a water energy. And it takes a while for the water to clear. When it does, and it is, there's the clarity, the awakening of the, and in this case it looks like throat chakra. The ability to say it, Knight of Swords. I said I was gonna dip, okay. So much for what I said. Oh, I love it. Star on Hierophant. And again, the beam, right? One appears to be coming into her heart space. He, she, they. I think this card has a lot of women in it, this deck. Star, you know, this character is being healed by, you know, the big healer in the sky, the Great Spirit. And it's healing the grief. And this is sort of what healed grief looks like. By feeling it, by processing it, by not stuffing it, by not making it a shadow thing where it will bite your ass. So it's kind of like, you know, that the stuff that's unacknowledged causes trouble. It wants to be acknowledged, so it'll come out in weird ways, bad dreams, you know, inexplicable fits of temper or whatever. And this is like the healing of that, and it's on Hierophant. So it's like your acknowledgement of sort of God inside. It's by virtue of this, you know, allowing the light in, allowing the light to guide you. And this is like not allowing the light to guide you. This is allowing the sword energy to trap you. Six of Voices. Just really wonderful clarifiers. So I'm so happy. This is moving to a calmer place mentally. Out of Eight of Swords, like tortured place. Literally that bondage business. And Eight of Swords, Eight of Voices always has a slight implication of you doing it. You're allowing this to happen. Somebody's allowing themselves to be trapped. like the volunteer says, tie me up, hit me with sticks or whatever. Well, you're moving on from that. And again, this image of the person here going like, bink, they're twinking him. It's almost like the thing of kicking the dominoes. You know, this person, little character poised on the fingertips, and of the character who's going to go wank and just set him in motion to the better place, to the calmer place. So sword energy is really being wonderfully redirected. 9 of materials, 9 of pentacles on wheel. This is personal, you know, being comfortable in your own skin, you know, in the sense of in your own body, in your own being, in your own, you know, accepting yourself, for starters, in a very grounded, real way. It's not like, I'll accept myself when I, you know, when I'm fully in my Hierophant place of ascended whatever. Wheel takes you into the place where, into the stable sort of landing, which is you. It's a card of sort of you being good on your own, and not in the sense of like, I want to be in isolation. It's not that. It's I want to be in my own, where I value myself, where I take care of myself. You're moving forward into that. You're changing your mindset that allows you to sort of love yourself. And that kicks the wheel. Again, this idea of the dominoes. And there was some other image of that. Now I'm not finding it, but kicking the dominoes. Kicking the wheel. You know, advance. I'll cooperate with this forward movement. I'm all in. I'm all in. It will change how I live. It will change who I am. It will further stabilize me. So this forward movement, sort of the movement, ironically, is what brings you into yourself. And it seems to me back into yourself, because you were in this sort of, you know, tie me up, I won't fight it place, to just like, no, I'm moving. I'm not doing that. I've freed myself and I'm moving on. Through a new way of thinking about stuff, a different mindset that brings you peace. And this is, in this depiction, this is the woman who's been brought to peace. You've got all these sort of concentric circles, like every day in every way. And I'm at the center of this. I am the center of myself. Stepping into karmic destiny of who I am. I think that's about it. It's a lot of major arcana. We have wheel, Hierophant, which is Taurus, star, which is Aquarius. Some of the major arcana don't have a specific astrological sign attached to them. They might have a planet or something, and I just don't know enough about that. Temperance is Sagittarius. 2 cards of healing. Karmic destiny and Hierophant, this knowing your own higher power. Tower I see as scorpionic energy. Okay. And we have justice. And we have 5 of inspiration. And this is a card I don't really understand. It has the same, no, it's different people. I always thought it was the same person, but kind of in different aspects. Like one is standing in the water, reflective. One won't look in the mirror, not reflective. One's got the, I don't even know how to say it, root chakra energy going on. Root and whatever the next one is, it's the pleasure center. That's really lit up in this. And the next one is just sort of like, hey, casual, hanging out. They're striking poses, though, a little bit. At least the last 3 are. I can't really deconstruct it. It would take too long. But in traditional Rider-Waite, this is something you're working out. It's another card of another 5 card. They indicate a change or a need for change. And it might be trying out different iterations of yourself or of an attitude or different people. We're going to take one more on that because I just don't get it. The other card is Justice. Libra energy, balance, major arcana. I mean, this is sort of like, it shows the person in the middle and then the sort of divided selves on either side. And justice is like the middle path. On 5 of Wands. Well, this is the bigger energy and it speaks to balance, clarity, knowing something. And it might be something like out of the 5 of Cups grieving place comes this awakening. And out of this sort of posturing or trying on different, I don't know, it looks like different people, but I get the feeling it's sort of like different guises. Like that 7 of Swords, I wear the fox mask kind of thing. The overriding energy is one of balance and truth, and not a divided self. This is like a super divided situation or self. Needed to change. And it's coming into balance. And the last one I'm going to look at, and I just have to not peek because I'll get off on another tangent, and I can feel like the cards are hot. So we have Justice, and we have Lovers. Another sword energy, another air energy. And you know, it can speak to the big connections in our lives. Not necessarily romantic, just, you know, the people we it's not a card of the posers. And the 2 big hard hitters here are Justice and lovers. So there was a lot of dubious air energy at the beginning. 7 and 8 of swords. But then 6 of swords, this turning point. Wheel, the turning point that brings you into yourself. Not into this sort of iterations of fragmented self, compartmentalized somehow. That's being unified. See how the phase is the unified phase with the kind of split decision on either side. Some of balance has been achieved. And it might be between two people. Lovers also indicates a choice. And I'd say it's a choice to step into positive sword energy for starters, which you're doing, so that you can come into yourself. And this is sort of like a card of coming into yourself. That sword that says, this is the true me. Not these 5 of inspiration kind of posturing. This is the true me. And I've made that choice to be aligned in truth. It's a choice. And there could well be 2 people in this. I don't really see that strongly here. I think it's within yourself. The balance of lovers, the yin yang within yourself. And this is sort of a card of being within yourself, in your own skin. That's the change. That's what you're stepping into. And it's balance within, it's, a state where you love yourself. Shadow and all. Shadow and all. What heals is to embrace the shadow by pulling up the muck and saying, you're part of me. I'll bring you into the light, where you can be healed. And what heals you? Basically your own higher power. It's what prompts you to move out of that trap, out of 8 of swords, and into yourself. Wheel is saying, step into your life. It's an invitation. Step into your life. Healing awaits. Revelation, in the sense of like digging up the shadow. An understanding or a word or, Joshua blowing his trumpet, I don't know, but the thing that takes it all down and sets it into motion on new footing. Unity within. Unity within, that's the vibe here. Step into your own. And from that position, who knows, when you kick the dominoes, there's an opportunity at that point to come into union with somebody else. Because until you've done this, you can't do this. This is getting whole and good with yourself. Choosing your own unity. That choice might bring you into balance with somebody else too. And I said I'm done, but it seems pertinent because this is the pink moon, which is what we're in right now. The pink moon. What's coming to the surface? And I think it's you coming to the surface, into the light, by virtue of taking out your darkness, where you can look at it and integrate it. Where is that? Integrate it. The light and the dark, the unity within, the yin and the yang. She said again and again. Thanks for bearing with me, saying things again and again. I think eventually I'll get better at, condensing it. But remember I said that something about the frame and understanding it by framing it. Maybe I need to make a smaller frame. I don't know. Maybe not. Let me know in the comments. Again, really appreciate those of you who are subscribing, particularly responding to videos, because I read the comments, I appreciate them, even if I don't do more than give you a little heart. It's heartfelt heart, every one of you, and all of us together. But do it for yourself. Do it for yourself. We'll do it for ourselves. Till next time.